This is Michael Cuomo with my presentation on my research project for Stockton's Master of Arts in Instructional Technology program. My research project focuses on the important question of how do you increase the quality of online discussions in online classes. This idea came to me for a couple of reasons. First, my own personal experience has found that the online discussions that I've had to do in my online classes tend to not be as good as the discussions that I've had in face-to-face classes. I've always enjoyed classroom discussions because I tend to learn more from other people. And so the fact that I don't get as much out of these online discussions is the reason why online classes aren't my favorite compared to face-to-face. And I've found that other students seem to have the same position as me for these online discussions. More importantly, when doing my literature review, I found that there are a lot of studies that found the same thing, that the discussions in an online course tend to be of lesser quality, with students only sharing facts instead of engaging in critical thinking and posting responses that lack coherence, depth, and often repeat points already made by other students. With this in mind, online courses are still expected to continue to rise, and they will use online discussions. So my question is, how do you improve their quality? The first big question then is, what do I mean by the word quality? For this project, I'm referring to the use of critical thinking. Specifically, I'm referring to the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy: analyze, evaluate, and create. This is what I want students to engage in with their online discussions, so we are using this framework as what we mean by quality online discussion. So the question then is, how do you increase critical thinking in online discussions? Based on my literature review, there are a lot of ideas, but the one that stood out the most for me was from Alfred Rovai, who said that you need two things to increase critical thinking: discussion design and moderation. For design, a big part of this is to design an online discussion that promotes critical thinking. This starts with ensuring that you have the right topic or questions and clearly communicating expectations in terms of quality and professionalism. This is done through the use of a rubric for discussion quality and some ground rules for professionalism to promote a supportive environment where students are comfortable having a discussion with their peers in which they have different ideas and competing opinions. This discussion is designed where they are in control of their own discussion. Although students will be in control, the instructor will need to jump in at times to make sure the discussion doesn't turn into the Wild West. So they may need to intervene if a conflict arises or if students veer off topic or are unsure of how to proceed. There are a lot of different moderating techniques out there, but the one I'm using for this project is adopted from Stephen Deloach and Stephen Greenlaw, which promotes critical thinking while balancing timing so the instructor does not take control of the conversation away from the students. This technique has the instructor intervening to have the discussion move towards progressively higher levels of intellectual development and refocusing the conversation on the tasks needed to finish the discussion. So looking at Bloom's taxonomy again, this moderating technique only has the instructor intervene to refocus the discussion on topic and assist students in the transition between one level to the next. This promotes critical thinking and keeps students in control. So for my project, I want to see how well this works and how much this increases critical thinking in online discussions. To test this, I will work with a professor here at Stockton and moderate a few online discussions. The first discussion won't include the design elements and moderating techniques described earlier to establish a baseline, but discussions afterwards will. I'll start each discussion by selecting a topic and question designed to promote the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy, and clearly explaining what is expected of them. I'll give them the rubric, which I'll use to grade their responses and lay down a few ground rules for the discussion. Then I'll let them have their discussion. I'll be monitoring the responses closely, and if I notice they become stuck with a roadblock, I'll step in to assist them using specific prompts developed by Deloach and Greenlaw to move to higher levels of thinking. At the end, I'll grade their responses using the rubric to see if there was any improvement with the design and moderating technique compared to the first discussion. I'll also have students take a survey and do some interviews before and after these discussions to find out what they thought about previous discussions compared to these discussions for this project. In the end, my hope is that this approach does in fact increase the quality of online discussions, and if so, then I plan on sharing it with faculty so they can adopt it in their online classes. I'll let you know what I find. Thanks.